STPI is pleased to welcome you to the virtual tour of Twofold, a solo exhibition by Singaporean artist Genevieve Chua, which opened to public on 22nd February this year. I'm Rachel, and it is a pleasure to be hosting this virtual tour today in a bid to provide a closer look at Twofold during this time, which is the artist's largest solo exhibition to date. Now, Genevieve is most recognized as a painter who works primarily through the language of abstraction. This show explores fundamental questions of painting, particularly one's perception of it and its constituent materials. And it is centered on her idea of painting as a medium that occupies 2.5 dimensions, suggesting that paintings can both appear flat as images and share characteristics of objects which extend their surfaces away from the wall. It features playful configurations of paintings from some of her ongoing series, as well as new print-based works from her residency at STPI, which began in November 2019. The exhibition title, Twofold, further evokes the idea of the artist's tendency to create works in multiples or series. STPI has also worked with guest curator Melanie Pocock on this exhibition. Melanie, who is curator at Icon Gallery in Birmingham, has worked with Genevieve on multiple occasions, a significant and recent one being closed during opening hours, which is Genevieve's solo exhibition at the Institute of Contemporary Arts, or ICA, Singapore in 2019. Compared to the exhibition space here at STPI, which provides a more hermetic and contained arena, the gallery space at the ICA in which Genevieve held her exhibition is primarily constituted by glass walls, giving a sense of transparency in its very architecture. Yet the idea of transparency also resurfaces in this exhibition, particularly through the material and configurative aspects of the artworks, which we will soon encounter. Here in the center gallery, we are first greeted by Genevieve's paintings from Edge Control, an ongoing series that she began in 2016. The parameters that she gave herself for these paintings are, firstly, that the image put together on each canvas would fill the canvas from edge to edge, and secondly, that she would only use black and white paints straight from the tube, almost as an act of resistance. In her training as a student, Genevieve was taught by third-generation Nanyang painters who did not believe in using the colors black or white on the palette, that black should be a mix of Prussian blue and burnt sienna to various degrees, and that white should simply be the color of the paper. Hence, what constituted color, or the spectrum of non-color, became a point of experimentation for the artist. A further layer to this series is the use of semi-figurative titles such as soft diplomacy and hard diplomacy, light stack and shadow stack. Now, these titles are never a noun that names a particular place or person or thing. Instead, they describe or hint towards a situation or an event or a scene. We can see that in this painting, titled Edge Control 22, Brace, Brace. The title takes the form of a verb, introducing endless possibilities of an image's associative potential beyond figuration. The viewer is brought through various perceptions, such as an actual bracing position or a kind of inherent movement. In this manner, Genevieve considers herself a painter of near abstraction, where the text in her titles hint at a figurative situation, but the images themselves are fully abstract. The Edge Control series also considers the viewing experience of black and white paintings in two folds. One that is more graphic and instant, where the image greets the eye as an element of design situated in the language of the digital. And the other is more formal, in a painter's eye, where the viewer towards the material aspect of the painting, such as the canvas itself. The shaped canvases, which the artist introduced to the series in 2018, exaggerate what would normally be unseen to the viewer in painting conventions, such as the other sides or facets of the painting's structure, or the exposed seams and sewn lines on the linen edges. And these hand-shaped structures then become an homage to other painters who would keenly notice the intervention and the subtleties of the exposed linen on the painting's profile. Edge control is thus a series that brings to mind ideas of human vision and simulation, as well as culturally conditioned experiences and interpretations of both color and material. As we move from image to image, event to event, corner to corner, there seems to emerge an idea of this passing of time, which challenges the perception of paintings as inert objects. These works seem to be happening or unfolding right before our very eyes as we look upon them and experience their various elements. We study their structures, their forms, and also their surrounding environments. In this exhibition, we see that Genevieve has painted some of the walls in the gallery, casting her works into a wider visual context, into wider relations. Here, the circular form left by the negative space on the wall seems to have eclipsed an illusionary edge. This becomes a device that almost encourages visitors to move around the gallery and encounter other forms and slow down their viewing experience. Along with edge control, swivels is another ongoing series in the artist's studio practice that is presented in the exhibition. Swivels is similarly an attempt to negotiate painting as an object. The wooden components turn on a steel bracket, and the work's potential to swivel and confront or shy away from its audience introduces a spatial tension, enriching one's encounter with it as one views it from multiple angles. The new print-based works on acrylic created during Genevieve's STPI residency can be seen in this gallery wing. This very focused series of works feature print techniques such as screenprinting on acrylic. They employ a graphic effect called the moiré, an optical phenomenon where two motifs or patterns composed of opaque lines are superimposed, one on top of another, at a certain proximity. This creates a third pattern, which shifts as the viewer perceives it from various angles. By screen printing on a clear acrylic panel, what constitutes a foreground and a background, as well as the work's relationship to the gallery wall, is brought into question, maintaining the tensions between a flat dimension and something three-dimensional. We can see these odd trout-like shapes that are suspended by separate fishing lines, and the use of sinkers to keep these lines taut, which allows for the hanging forms to be kept partially kinetic, in perpetual motion, amplified when viewers walk past the work and introduce breeze. The exposure of these materials, screws, eyelets, and sinkers, are very much part of the material quality of the work, which hint at the mechanics behind the visual structure. Further down this wing, we encounter a work from Genevieve's After the Flood series. This is a series that started in 2010 and has evolved alongside Genevieve's shifting ideas on painting. These are black and white photographs of secondary forests in Singapore, with certain areas of the foliage colored in by hand. We see common ivy, a type of weed, growing over trees so rapidly in layers and ultimately suffocating them. It becomes a point of reference in this exhibition, insofar as these forests are located right by the expressways, revealing the brink of a landscape, hinged on the fine boundary between spaces, between built and natural environments, between materials. What is an edge? What is the center? What is the front or the back? What is the shape or the line? And these are questions that tie back to the very premise of Twofold. We are now here at the back of STPI Gallery's left wing, where After the Flood 29 and It Had to Happen are placed alongside each other, with the clear frame of the former echoing the screen-printed acrylic sheets in the latter, forming an interesting dialogue on shape, scale, and spatial boundaries between two series of works with a span of nearly 10 years between them. Like the right wing, which we just visited, here we see a range of the artist's varied work configured in quite an exploratory manner. On the wall to the left hangs a serendipitously harmonious mix of works, from edge-control paintings to a work from swivels, and then to test prints created during the artist's residency. The wall is partially painted in a soft gray, creating an illusion of a line that subtly connects the works, hinting at allusions to a horizon line, a pedestal, a shelf, or a ledge that the work seems to rest or lean on. With such a vocabulary, the artist takes a cue from dramaturgy, a term that Genevieve and Melanie discussed during the installation. The elements of staging or dramatic composition begin to emerge, enabling the language of theater to enter that of curatorial discourse. Now, on the opposite wall, there is Pivot Point, an acrylic work created in STPI's creative workshop that requires many points of balance in order for the work to hang well. The artist has shared that the time taken to install the work is nearly equal to the time the printmakers took to ink and produce it. There is also a delight in observing how the installation crew similarly took the time to figure out what was happening with the various components, tilting them at various angles until they achieved the right balance. As we approach the front of the left wing, we notice suspended shapes recalling the trout-like acrylic forms that are a part of Genevieve's print-based works. Hung at various unexpected points throughout the space, these shapes are test prints from the artist's residency at STPI that act almost like props and supportive devices helping to frame or demarcate space. They enable more part of the artistic process to emerge throughout the exhibition and are a testament to the rigor of experimentation that the artist experienced with the creative workshop team. As one might notice, the working relationship between Genevieve and Melanie rests on a common keen sense of space, as well as a shared development and practice of spatial empathy in the placement of artworks. This was a joy for our team to witness and participate in throughout the installation process. Now, we hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough of the exhibition Twofold by Singaporean artist Genevieve Chua. In the description bar below, you will be able to find a link to purchase the exhibition catalog on STPI's online store, featuring beautiful behind-the-scenes images and a thoughtful essay penned by guest curator Melanie Pocock. For further information on the exhibition and available works, please do not hesitate to click the link to our website shared below as well. Thank you for your time and take care.